Matthew 6. Take heed that ye do not your alms before men to be seen of them, otherwise ye have no reward of your Father which is in heaven. Therefore, when thou doest thine alms, do not sound a trumpet before thee, as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and in the streets, that they may have glory of men. Verily I say unto you, they have their reward. But when thou doest alms, let not thy left hand know what thy right hand doeth, that thine alms may be in secret, and thy Father which seeth in secret himself shall reward thee openly. And when thou prayest, thou shalt not be as the hypocrites are, for they love to pray, standing in the synagogues, and in the corners of the streets, that they may be seen of men. Verily I say unto you, they have their reward. But thou, when thou prayest, enter into thy closet, and when thou hast shut thy door, pray to thy Father which is in secret, and thy Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly. When ye pray, use not vain repetitions, as the heathen do, for they think that they shall be heard for their much speaking. Be not ye therefore like unto them. For your Father knoweth what things ye have need of, before ye ask him. After this manner therefore pray ye. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Abanawa, Shabashamayim, Kodash, Haya, Shamka, Yahawa, Malakwithka, Daba'a Ratazaka, Haya, Aisha, Ba'arataza, Kawa, Haya, Bashamayim, Nathan Lanawa, Lakam, Kal Yuwam, Wasalak Lanawa, Kawabwat Nawa, Kasalak Nawa, Kawabwati Nawa, Wala'a, Dabaya Nawa, Banasaya 1. Abal, Hawishai Nawa, Mayan, Rai Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwal, Wahala, Wahatapa Arath, La Iwalamium, Aman.
After this manner therefore pray ye. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven.
All right. Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to his younger brothers. And peace and blessings and salutations. Hopefully, they got there pushing his word in truth and in sincerity across the four winds. In the name of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. Pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopefully the believers, the listeners who have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. All right. And what I want to get into today, afternoon news and prophecy. No, so like it. All right, the afternoon news and prophecy, dealing with different faiths. All right, same agenda. And you look at, the president, the office of the president of America, all right, is a revolving door. All right, where these guys come in, under the banner of Democrat and Republican, and they say and they serve, these 4-year terms. They might do back to back, do 8-year terms, but nevertheless, it's the agenda of the elites that's always forwarded through these different faces, man. Okay, and right now, all right, Trump is just a different face, but the same agenda is going forward. All right, and they play this left, right, paradigm against the masses, you know, with the illusion that people have some type of choice, and with the illusion that that there's two parties, all right, that's going against each other, and they're both, all right, are trying to save the masses from the other. Okay, so you have people emotionally attached to these ideologies, all right, but they don't see the continuing narrative, okay, of the elites, all right, being played out in the background, while everyone is, paying attention to, the fiasco, the debates and the arguing between the two parties, which is all staged. Okay, well, the real agenda, all right, keeps going forward, and now we're right here at the doorstep where these devils, want to bring in, all right, a new money system, all right, so they're crashing the old. Okay, we're at the point to where, we're at the brink of World War III. All right, and these things have been building up. All right, you go back, to these wars that was started in the '60s. The Vietnam, okay, the wars in South America, the proxy wars between America and Russia. See, these things have been building up to the moment that we're at now. All right, and there's been a lot of different faces in that White House, but there's been a continuing narrative of the elites, okay, to try to establish, a new global world order. Okay, America was never the final destination for the elites. It was a stepping stone. It was a tool to get them where they want to go. And what we're seeing Trump, it seems like he's the guy that's closing this thing out. you know, expect this place to be drastically different if Trump is able to serve, those 4, all right, years of his term. Expect things to be drastically different, man, because they're making a lot of moves, man. Like his first 100 days was extremely active, man. The elites got very busy, pushing this AI. All right, the crashing of the planes, you know, destroying the government. Okay, now these tariffs, which was meant to have a ripple effect on the supply chain. So this man has been extremely active, man, and it's all under the guise of bringing in a new order. So the old is being destroyed. Okay, so I want to get a few precepts, and then I want to get the definition for false left-right paradigm. Now, when you go to 2 Corinthians 11:4, it says, "And no marvel, for Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light." And we know, all right, who's the representatives of Satan in the earth, which is Esau Edom. All right, and that the scriptures say, that he will go out to the four quarters of the earth to deceive the world. When he will be loose, all right, from their prison, going to the bottomless pit, when the devil began to, come back into power, during the Renaissance, all right, and began to colonize the earth. Well, one of his main tools that he used, all right, with the sword was deception. Okay, and this man has been putting layers and layers of deception, okay, within society as he's been ruling. Okay, to the point to where people look at him as the protector of life. Here it is. This man has incorporated death in society in every way that you can think of. But people look at this man as the defender of life. You know, all right. They look at this man to save the day as some type of hero. Okay. They look at him as just this genius and this superior. All right, people in the earth. But that's part of the deception, man. Okay, they look at this man as the they used to look at him as the standard of honesty and morality, and they looked at him to bring order in the earth. Okay, they looked at when they think of you know the advancements of civilization, all the credit goes to who? Esau Edom, the so-called white man. That's why a lot of our people they can't see all right or rulership outside of his because they accredit this man for everything, man. you know. So this man had transformed himself to the angel of light. But see, the prophets have been, raised up to reveal this devil, man. That's why, the spirit been heavy on confirming that Esau Edom is a so-called white man, as he loves to try to, wiggle and go under different identities, because he's everyone but an Edomite, he's a European and You see, the Anglo-Saxon, he even say that he's the chosen people. Okay, but he's everyone but the Edomite. But nah, man, the spirit is putting emphasis and highlight. All right, that Esau Edom is the devil that the Bible speaks. So he's the wicked. Okay, and it's the so-called white man, the people that run the earth as we speak. Okay, now I want to get this real quick. All right, because this is the political system that our people have brought into, and it's called the false. All right, the false left-right paradigm. All right, he said the false left right paradigm is the political theory that members of the opposing political parties, such as Republican and Democrat, deceptively share common interests and goals as a one body ruling authority over the masses, man. And this is exactly what it is. It's a false left right paradigm. People are still brought into it. And people are more emotionally attached, to this false left right paradigm than ever, man, to the point you had people it's riots about who you vote for, you know families being divided based on who they vote for, man. Women leaving their husband, based on who they voted for, man. you know People are so bought into this false left right paradigm, but it's all part of one ruling body, one ruling authority, man. And it's the elites of Esau Edom. Okay, these presidents and politicians and governors and even this control opposition, they're all characters, okay, a part of the psyop of these elites, all right, to convince people that they have some type of liberty, they have some type of choice, and their say so is considered, in the decision making. All right, America is a crypto dictatorship, man. Okay, and crypto goes into hidden. Okay, when America is a crypto dictatorship, man. Okay, you people don't have choice. You have the illusion of choice. All right, it's a crypto dictatorship, but it just allows you the freedom to party. Okay, you have access to to drugs and convenience. Okay, lewdness. Okay, you can freak off. Okay, but when it comes to serious things, you don't have much choice. You can't control. Okay, you can't decide that you don't want your children to go to public school. Okay, no, that's mandated. And then if you do homeschool, well, you got a curriculum that they give you. Okay, for them to be considered qualified. Okay, you see, you got to have his passport. Okay, you got to deal with his banking. You see, so there's really and so forth and so on. All right, when it comes to things that really matter, you don't have much choice. But when it comes to what club you want to go to tonight, okay, what you want to drink, what you want to eat, yeah, you have those choices. Okay, because just like Rome, all right, this new Roman Empire, it knows how to pamper its slaves, man, to where they call their slavery a culture. Okay, and they have this false left right paradigm, and that's what keep the party going. All right, this illusion of choice. Okay, now let's go from there. I want to play this. Okay, uh, got a couple videos to get into. This is yeah. Let's play this one here. Play the first few minutes. All right, because you got this guy RFK Jr. And people look at him like if he's some anti-globalist, and he's all about health, and he's going to get these certain chemicals out of food, and now he's going to stop chemtrails, and nigga, please. Okay, these things have been going on for decades, man. That the people are poison now. So what the hell would you mean? Okay, everyone is poison now. Okay, and this nigga ain't got the authority to take nothing out of nothing. All right, but they give you these overnight heroes, okay, and put these narratives behind them like they're so against the system and globalists, they're freedom fighters and people rally behind these things, man. It's no different than wrestling. Okay, it's all a gimmick. You see, so this guy here, pushes that he's gonna, you know, he's this, this health, okay, rebel, that's rebelling against, the big, companies and the food companies, and he's gonna pretty much make America, they push behind him, make America healthy again. It's over, man, and it's a joke. So I'm gonna let this play, and it's gonna go into a few things. It's gonna go into MAGA and show you that these people are witches and warlocks at the top, man. All right, and they tell you, she's gonna this witch is gonna tell you about Trump, man. Okay, well, let's play this.
This is the Nations Conspire channel. Welcome to today's show. RFK Jr., who has been playing the role of now put into power conspiracy theorist, who's going to get rid of mRNA vaccines and is going to go down the rabbit hole of things that we all discuss and then, of course, remove them. But we've all heard this tale before. We've all heard about draining the swamp, investigating a specific pizza parlor where there was enough evidence posted on Instagram to get that parlor shut down and investigated. But, of course, nothing ever happened there. Many out there were fooled into thinking that a flight log that was created by the CIA would be released to the public. These things just continually happen because they are luring in people like me and you. They want us to put our hope in man and believe that these people are going to stop the evil, wicked, corrupt globalists. But these people are part of the same exact plan, right? And RFK Jr. is no different. RFK Jr. was on the Dr. Phil show, and he was asked a question about chemtrails. And I'm going to play it for you in a second, but I want to remind you that the left-right paradigm, believing in the left or the right political party, voting and being involved in that system is a part of their game. That is literally the expression pawns in the game, where they move you around like a chess piece, divided against your fellow citizen, your fellow civilian, your fellow neighbor, all because of games that they play on your mind. Elon Musk, Donald Trump, RFK. This is a tweet that somebody put out right after the election. The Democrats won the election, and Elon Musk said some deep truths here because they can flip-flop their allegiance openly out in public, and nobody seems to think that they're working them. They just say, hey, they've joined our team. Come on over. Regular citizens, it's very uncommon for them to switch political affiliations. They stay Republican, they're Republican for life. Democrat, they're usually Democrat for life. These people, they're whatever they need to be for that specific day or time period. Donald Trump was always a Democrat. Elon Musk was always a Democrat. Dr. Phil was always a Democrat. Now, of course, all these characters are playing the role of conservatives, and they're bringing up conspiracies to lure people like us in. Dr. Phil, of course, we've seen him do all the same Masonic hand poses, like the hand on the chin, the 666 with his hands. He was brought in and is only a household name because of Oprah Winfrey. He's a product of Oprah, as is Dr. Oz, right? We remember Dr. Oz, who, of course, is now a conservative, was always a Democrat, talked on a show openly. I've covered this and broken this down before about the future is microchip implants in people's bodies, right? Then, of course, he flip-flopped into being a conservative. And even though there's pictures of him hanging out with Marina Abramovich multiple times side by side, sitting at the same table together at some of these galas that they attend, everybody out there just lets it go, right? Because they're part of their party, so they get a free pass, and they don't realize that that's part of the game. These people are all on the same team. And remember when Marina openly talked about how Donald Trump was the perfect person to put in power, that Donald Trump was the great magician.
Really funny opinion, but there is in Lapland there is a group of the shamans there who do something called collective dreaming. They will go together in seclusion and do the rituals with eating very little food and being in solitude for a long time, and they will go and dream the dreams. and the dream have to be collective same dream. So coming out of this dream, this once the shaman told me that actually the best thing happened in this planet right now is the Trump to be the president. I said, how is this possible? It's the best thing to happen. He said, yes, because he's so irrational, he's so crazy. That's actually create that awakening that we finally wake up. Because before it will be another guy and everything looks similar, but he's so different than anything else. So he's the magician who waking us up. What do you think about that? That kind of theory. Trump is the best thing happened ever to us. That he is the magician of the highest order. That he is there in his irrational mind to create confusion in order that the human being can find new order. And it's not so stupid.
And they telling you right to your face. Okay, they're telling you right to your face. And see, this is what these elites do. They have these witches and warlocks. Okay, inauguration, which that goes back into consulting the gods and choosing a leader. Okay, so you best believe these different leaders are already selected, and then they select. Yes, lucky. Yeah, but going back to it, because you go into this, inauguration, which they have, they show it live, from DC. But before, that inauguration that we see on TV, they're consulting with these witches and warlocks when it comes to different positions of leadership. All right. So these people are selected. All right. And we know Donald Trump, is a specific spirit coming back, Nero, and then she said he's the right guy to do what cause confusion in order to bring on a new order. Because this how these devils operate is in confusion, which we're gonna get that. But I'm gonna run it back a little bit, you know.
Actually, he's the magician who waking us up. What do you think about that? That kind of theory. Trump is the best thing happened ever to us. That he is the magician of the highest order. That he is there in his irrational mind to create confusion in order that the human being can find new order. And it's not so stupid thinking about this in that way. It's completely turning things upside down.
Right. So that's Marina talking about Trump.
So she said that he's a magician of the highest order. Now let's go here because this whole thing with MAGA, what is it? She said he's a magician of the highest order. Now when you go to here, the Church of Satan, okay? So you go to the Church of Satan, all right, and you have the different levels of Satanism, all right. You have your registered member, all right, an active member, first degree, all right, witch, warlock, second degree, priest or priestess, third degree, uh, magistrate, fourth degree, MAGA or magus, fifth degree. Okay, so she said he's a magician of the highest level. Okay, so this whole MAGA thing had nothing to do with make America great again, man. This is major witchcraft and Satanism. Okay, that these devils play. All right, this is how they run the earth, man, through a left hand priesthood. Okay, of Satanists, man, of warlocks. Okay, and these people that they put in front of you, they're all right, Satanists to some degree. And they told you, hey, Trump is one, all right, of one of the highest office, man. All right, which is MAGA. And it's higher than that. That's what they put on here, but there's an office that's higher than that he answers to, man. Okay, it has nothing to do with your vote. It has nothing to do with your policies. It has nothing to do with making your economy better. It has nothing to do with none of those things, man. It's all about, all right, a new satanic world order that they want to bring to the masses, man. Okay, this is what this thing is about. All right, so um, going from there, I want to get this because this is what we're seeing when you go here. What she say? Trump is the perfect one to cause confusion because Trump be all over the place. He says anything at any time. Half of that shit he just be saying, you know. But he sticks to the script of what they want to do. But he ad libs or just say anything, and that be the topic of the week. And he'll say something else, and that's the new topic, and he'll do something crazy, and just have you all over the place, man. So he's the perfect, manager of confusion. Okay. Now you go here to the book of Habakkuk, chapter 1, verse 10. It says, "And they shall scoff at kings, and princesses shall be a scorn unto them. They shall deride every stronghold, for they shall heap dust, which is confusion, and take it, man." And this is what this man has done in the earth, man. All these different governments of the earth. What does the devil do? He causes confusion. Okay, the CIA, they have mastered, toppling governments and doing coups and putting puppets in and bringing in policies of confusion and getting people away from their traditional order and bringing in democracy and bringing in, you even go into these different blue zones, where people, where you have these centurions, I believe that's what you call them, those people that live, where it's normal to live 100 plus, 100 years or more. All right, that's the normal thing. Well, this devil, okay, he'll bring in, all those fast foods, man, and then just destroy, everything that those people have going on. This how this man destroys the earth is through confusion, man. The alphabet, all right, feminism, all this confusion. Feminism is directly linked to Satanism, man. That's why it's so dark. Okay, and that's why it's such a heavy spirit of rebellion on someone that's a feminist because it's of Satan. Satan is all about rebellion against righteousness, man. Okay, so all these things, all right, that this man has used to heap up dust, he does it so he can control. It's part of his confusion, is a part of his manipulation for control, man. And he does it on every level. All right, whether it's globally and nationally or domestically, man. And this the point said, then shall his mind change, and he shall pass over and offend, okay, imputing this power unto his God, man, which is Satan. All right, so he doesn't care about being offensive anymore. All right, he's beginning to impute his rulership unto Satan. All right, you don't see these devils, pretending to be Christians as much as they used to. They throw it out, if when it's convenient. Okay, in the moment, well, you don't see them pretending to be Christians like they used to, man. Now they're openly coming out with this satanic, all right, agenda. Okay, what you just had, they got was Mike Walsh, I believe the governor of Minnesota. Okay, he was honored, by the Church of Satan. Okay, you see, and it just open news. Okay, so let's let's go here. In fact, let's see if I can look it up. I got another quick video. Now, this is the guy Chris Hedges. He goes in.
Gig economy.
He's a heavy critic on Trump. And just play a few minutes of this. But he goes into how Trump is pretty much here to finish off America, man. He's just continuing on the agenda that was already in play. So Trump is pretty much here to just finish America off. Okay, because it was already falling. All right, so he's just here to oversee the rest of the fall, man, the completion of the fall, and the ushering in of a new order. That's why you have Elon Musk, which he represents a technocracy, and this man's technology goes back to Satanism. Okay, Everything that this man does is rooted in Satanism, man. Okay? This is a representative of Satan in the earth. All right? Let's see. Let me see if I can find it. Let's see, can I find it? Let's go over here real quick before I play that video just to show you. All right, this is what these devils about. Okay. Yeah, so you go here, this is the devil Mike Waltz, and it says Satanist group praises governor Mike Waltz in Minnesota Capitol display. Okay. So let's read on. It says in a disturbing display that highlights the growing spiritual battle in our nation, a satanic group has installed a plaque inside the Minnesota State Capitol expressing gratitude to Governor Tim Walz for, it says, for not standing in the way of the spreading Satanism inside the state Capitol building. The shocking development illustrates just how emboldened the forces of darkness have become in public institutions. What was once unthinkable, public praise of Satanism in the state capitol, has now been normalized. For people of faith, this should serve as a stark reminder of why the church, which the Christian church is finished. All right, absolutely no resistance to Satan. But it shows you, like he said, just how emboldened the forces of darkness have become in our public institutions, man. Because that's what all these people are, Satanists, man. It's not just a Minnesota governor. All these governors are tapped into Satan, man. Okay, some more than others. All right, but all of them, all these politicians, okay, city officials, all of them, all right, are Masons, Freemasons, okay, was all rooted back in Satanism, man. Okay, so this whole government structure from top to bottom is rooted in Satanism. Okay, so um, and you're gonna see these things increase. As it says in the book of Second Ezra. Okay, we're gonna see wickedness increase. All right, so let's play a few minutes of this. And now this is a woman narrating something that was written by this guy Chris Hedges, which I think he's an economist, if I'm not mistaken, but he's very, very critical on Trump and this whole system. So she's gonna go in, all right, and narrate, his writing, and just uh go into Trump and how he's here to finish this thing off, man. Okay.
Trumpland. The corporate coup d'etat and collapse of American democracy began long before Trump. He's simply snuffing out what remains. Written by Chris Hedges for the Chris Hedges Report, chrishedges.substack.com. Narrated by Eunice Wong. The Christian fascists and oligarchs gleefully handing Donald Trump his Sharpie and executive orders are not making war on the deep state, the radical left, or to protect us from anti-Semites. They're making war on verifiable fact, the rule of law and the transparency and accountability that is only possible with a free press, the right to dissent, a vibrant culture, and a separation of powers, including an independent judiciary. All of these pillars of an open society, as I detail in my book, Death of the Liberal Class, were degraded long before Trump. The press, including public broadcasting, academia, the Democratic Party, a corporatized and banal culture, a judiciary that serves a billionaire class, and a Congress bought by lobbyists, have been disemboweled. They're easily picked off. Few want to rise up to defend them. They sold us out. Let them die.
We've been lied to. This is the worst I've ever seen it. This is a place where people are so angry, so frustrated, so fearful.
The loss of the liberal class creates a power vacuum filled by speculators, war profiteers, gangsters, and killers, often led by charismatic demagogues, I wrote in Death of the Liberal Class in 2010. It opens the door to totalitarian movements that rise to prominence by ridiculing and taunting the liberal class and the values it claims to champion. The promises of these totalitarian movements are fantastic and unrealistic, but their critiques of the liberal class are grounded in truth. Fascism is birthed by a bankrupt liberalism that has surrendered its traditional role in a capitalist democracy. It no longer ameliorates the worst excesses of the ruling class and the empire by instituting incremental and piecemeal reforms. It scolds and moralizes the disenfranchised workers it betrayed. Media outlets prioritize access to the powerful more than truth. They amplified lies and propaganda to propel us into a war on Iraq. They lionized Wall Street and assured us it was prudent to entrust our life savings to a financial system run by speculators and thieves. Life savings were gutted. They fed us the lies of Russiagate. They slavishly catered to the Israel lobby, distorting coverage of the genocide and university protests to demonize Palestinians, Muslims, and student protesters. They dance to the tune of their corporate advertisers and sponsors. They render whole sections of the population, whose misery, poverty, and grievances should be the principal focus of journalism, invisible.
So what we're seeing, all right, is Trump, all right, setting the tone, okay, for dictatorship, okay, where AI, is going to be, the new government, okay, and the elite ruling class are going to be the dictators of the AI, okay. So this whole thing of voting and your rights and all, no, that's finna be out the window, and they're transitioning out the window, okay, because this whole thing of freedom of speech that don't exist because there's people you can't speak against. Here it is. When we have to speak in code. How are we so free, but we have to speak in code? We have to tell the truth in code. We gotta use code words to tell the truth. Okay, certain industries we can't talk on, or we get a strike. And pretty soon that strike is going to be the death penalty, man. When this thing is real draconian. Okay, well, everybody's supposed to be free and liberated, but there's certain things that you can't even speak on the internet, even if it's true. You can't even speak truth now. You can rap about killing a nigga, and a nigga woman can rap about being raunchy and nasty and all these different things all day. But you speak about the truth of, you know, the certain industries, okay? When you call certain things out for what they are, then you stand a chance of getting a strike, man. So this is nothing but a dictatorship, man. And they've disguised it as a republic, democracy, freedom. Nah, man. Okay, let's go here. The brother got a good one. This is Sirach 14:7. This is brother Kazak. However, it says, and if he do it good, he doeth it unwillingly, and at the last he would declare his wickedness, man. And we're seeing his wickedness start to show more and more. The devil's horns, are starting to peek out more and more. Okay, and this devil is really showing, what he's about, because we're in the last, we're in the end. Okay, and this devil is getting close, to trying to crown his enterprise, man. And as he's getting closer, man, he's getting more emboldened, to show what he's really about. Okay, so that's the point. Make it super long. Just wanted to go into those things. All right, Lord will, we'll be back with some more news soon. Just going into the things that's happening, man. And it's all leading, all right, to this devil's fall, all right, and Israel, all right, beginning with the elect to rise forever, man. You know, so Lord will, you brothers, all right, and you sisters edified. Till next time I say shalom. Kwame Yashala, Abba, soon, shalom.